You're listening to Sister Stargazers, celestial and terrestrial observations and advice from two real-life sisters. Welcome, fellow stargazers. Your sisters are in the house. Hi, Jude.
Hey, Sarah. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Not too bad. Not too bad for a funnel week.
I know. I love that you titled your notes Funneling Towards the Eclipse. We're at episode 58 this week. We're going to cover the last week of Libra, Sunday, October 16th through Saturday, roughly October 22nd, a packed week. Last week of Libra. What do you want to do? How do you want to start?
Pretty packed, yeah. So Libra is the sign that most of all relates to relationships and balancing relationships with Venus as its ruler. And the Sun and Venus being in Libra this season has really called our attention to all relationships. And this past lunation of the full moon in Aries has also called on us to be more open, more honest, more truthful in our dealings with people. So as we move from, the October 16th through the 23rd, 22nd is where we will cut off this episode. Right. But there is this sense that we are funneling through the last slice of Libra as we will then move into the Scorpio season on Sunday the 23rd. So first quarter moon, Monday the 17th, we've got the moon in a square to Libra. So Cancer moon, square to Libra sun. So Cancer is those feelings that are very tender. Cancer moon is in its home sign. Squaring the Libra sun, there might be issues that you still need to explore around relationship. Mars will trine the sun. So it's a good time, not so much for competition, but for cooperation. Yeah. This will give us energy. This Mars trine the sun will give us energy to state, especially with Mars in Gemini, to really state our concerns. Libra sun is going to be, helping to give a balanced airing to these concerns. Venus, though, at the same time, Venus is going to Quincunx Neptune. So things are very impressionable. Quincunxes are not quite in opposition, but they're not quite a trine. So they're kind of like, got that little squeaky door. So Venus will bring our attention as well to relationship issues, but we want to be careful about what we see, how we approach them, because there may be some issues around truthfulness, or the other part of that, it could be confusion, but there might also be inspiration. So there's just this there's a whole mess of wiggle room here with Venus quincunxing Neptune. But in general, that first quarter moon is going to launch us through the week to start to really bring some closure to this Libra season. Tuesday, October 18th, Venus will trine Mars. So again, it's this support for relating and self-relating as well. So is there something you want to explore? Is there something that's your heart's desire? Is there a passion that you want to dive into? This Venus trine Mars will give you the energy to go for it. On Wednesday, October 19th, the Sun is squaring Pluto. So again, Libra, Sun, Pluto's in Capricorn, late Libra, late Capricorn. We're getting this push-pull, time for growth. How much of what we share, what we develop, how is that manipulated? How is that power dynamics used in relationships? So there is this opportunity on Wednesday the 19th to move through some of the maybe more challenging emotions in ourselves and in how we relate to people, like jealousy, greed, fear, all those 7 deadly sins, avarice, gluttony, all of that negative stuff is what Pluto can bring up. And with the Sun in Libra wanting to be all beautiful and compromising, and Pluto being all like bubbling up with the negativity, it can also, though, give you, if you approach it in the right way and bring a higher level of consciousness to this particular aspect, Sun square Pluto, it can also give you a new way, a deeper way of relating. Because you're being honest. You're going for the deep. You're processing through maybe these ugly emotions and you're arriving on the other side with a better, more heart-centered, more loving Venus, Libra understanding. So there's a fair amount of compassion that's available to ourselves in this week as we funnel into this new moon eclipse on the 25th. But there are these aspects, first quarter moon, this sun square Pluto, where we're being called on to release some of this negatively charged feelings, these emotions that can really short circuit our attempts at living. Because we become competitive, we become upset about things that are not really anything to be upset about. As we move later into the week, we have, again, opportunities here with Venus square Pluto. So Venus and the Sun are tracking. They're moving together. So Venus now, the ruler of Libra, is squaring Pluto. There is the potential for your interactions with others to be intense. And expressing yourself honestly is really key, and then letting others do the same. So this can manifest, like in driving, this can be road rage, right? Or this could be a heart-to-heart with someone close to you. It could act out either way. So how do you want to take that energy? Do you want to be self-destructive with it, or channel it into something that's more on the negative end, like the rage end? Or you can use it, Venus square Pluto, you can use it to speak your truth. You just had the day before Sun square Pluto. So these are opportunities that are highlighted, again, to release as we move into this very releasing new moon. Typically new moons are starting points, which this one is in a big way because it's an eclipse, but it's a south node eclipse. So there is this thing you have to release first before you move forward. And I think this might be a great segue for the cards that you pulled.
So I have this new deck. It's called The Wild Unknown Archetype Guidebook by Quincunx. And the two cards that came up today, the first one is the Medallion, and it's all about how we imbue objects with unconscious energy or expectations. The booklet says, time to reconcile the vibration of the object around you. What do you covet and collect, and why? Is there an object you have held on to for years that you're ready to release? Perhaps it's time to reach for the medallion that aligns with your deepest values. So that sort of sifting out, I can imagine that as part of this funneling process. What is it we're carrying with us? What is it we can let go? What did we giving power to an object that we can now maybe either reclaim that power or just bless it and let it go? Seems like the theme for the season.
Yeah, absolutely.
The second card that came out today, which I was thinking of when you were talking about these squares to Pluto, is the Forest. And the keynote for the Forest is really that there's no going around, you kind of have to go through. And the forest, when you think of it in terms of fairy tales or fables, getting lost in the woods, going off the path. And the card encourages us to go off the path, take the pathless path. And you might encounter some tricksters, but you also might encounter some fairies and friends. But there's really no way around it. You kind of have to go through. But in going through, you only take what you need and you come out on the other side having learned what you needed to learn to move forward, which again is kind of the eclipse energy.
Yeah, and I would say that trusting of the invisible, that the forces of the invisible realms are there to guide you, however you see that. If you see that as God, or if you see that as, elements in nature, or you see that as just the Holy Spirit or whatever, there is something greater that is kind of guiding this process.
Yeah, you could call it inner wisdom, inner being.
The Great Spirit, whatever.
And the card also, when you go into the forest, you have to sort of give over to your senses to guide you. The compass point ends up being your heart, really.
Yes. That's a very good segue to the last few aspects.
Okay.
Friday the 21st, Moon trine Uranus. Uranus is in Taurus, so the senses. Moon is the feeling nature, so being open to new ideas, spontaneity. On Saturday the 22nd, we also have another aspect to Uranus. So Mercury, Quincunx Uranus, the ability of Mercury to bring in great ideas, being able to stand back and kind of just receive. So Mercury, Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury. Mercury Quincunx Uranus. It's not an opposition, it's not a trine, it's kind of in between. But there's this opportunity when Mercury, has an aspect or hits a chord, a resonance with Uranus, there is opportunity to bring in, funnel in those ideas. So as we move towards this eclipse on the 25th, Saturday the 22nd is just loaded with aspects. The moon opposition Neptune, the moon trine Pluto, the sun conjuncts Venus, Mercury trine Saturn. So grounding is going to be really important. And then the moon ingresses Libra and makes an opposition to Jupiter.
Ingresses, that's a new phrase. I don't know.
Whenever a planet moves into a new sign, it ingresses.
Oh, okay.
So it's not a transit. It's not making any aspects. It's just moving into a new part of the zodiac. So the moon ingresses Libra, and kind of like the final cherry on top of the cupcake. Of. The sun is in the last bit of Libra. The moon is ingressing Libra.
Venus is leaving Libra.
Yeah.
Interesting.
What I'm getting at is that as we move through the week, by the end of the week, there'll be opportunities to kind of rejoice and get the benefits of what we discovered or what we were able to unearth and look at, So there's a lot of courage involved with this week, in terms of facing some truths and moving forward into the releasing, more of the releasing process as we process. Because it's not just going to be one day. This eclipse is not going to be just one day. And there is this sense of we're moving through this process, right? Yeah. This process of releasing, this process of understanding. As you kind of look at these things, like you were mentioning, looking at these objects and understanding the emotional impact, the emotional value they have to you, and then being able to bless them and release them, that can free up so much space in your physical environment, in your mental and emotional environment for the new, whatever the new is that is ready to come in.
Yeah.
Which is the walk in the forest. It's like...
Exactly.
Okay, universe, I'm ready. I've released, I'm processing, I get it. I can't hold on. Guide me through. The guidance is the journey, right?
That's it. Yeah. It's exciting.
It is exciting. I mean, I can see how it can be also very fearful,
Oh, for sure. That's where the courage component comes in. Yeah.
And Jupiter's up there in Aries, just backing into Pisces. It's going to help us. Pisces is that realm of the unconscious. So Jupiter going in there is going to shine a light. It's going to help us to be more courageous and to bring things forward and to understand them. I mean, that's also Jupiter's function, is to create understanding. So I think it's very exciting, yes. It's a great, exciting week.
Well, and we should still be able to see, if you want to do some visual astrology, we should still be able to see Jupiter in the eastern sky.
Yes.
You could go out and just harness some chi of Jupiter. Think of it as a giant flashlight you're going to harness and point and magnify what you need to work on.
Yes, that's awesome. So to harness the chi of Jupiter or any planet, you would go out and stand facing that planet and raise your left hand to receive and put your right hand on your hara, which is your kind of your belly button area, your second chakra area, and then just breathe into the planet's chi. Yeah. The light, the etheric light of the planet. And sometimes you feel something, sometimes you don't, but you've gone through the action of doing that is an honoring process. And it does, on some level, whether you're conscious of it or not, it will bestow on you some level of understanding that you might not realize in the moment, but that will support you in the continuing journey. So,
well, the imagination of it too, to when you engage your imagination of receiving that vibration or receiving that chi, it's almost like an affirmation, but you're engaging your imagination. Even if you don't feel it, in your imagination, you're creating it as happening, which is also kind of fun.
Right. The imagination is everything. And there's also a meteor shower.
Fantastic.
The Orionids meteor shower.
Oh.
So this is Friday the 21st, Saturday the 22nd. These are fast-moving meteors, sometimes producing bright fireballs, which might really light up the sky. So the Orionids are produced by dust grains left behind by Comet Halley. which has been known and observed since ancient times.
Yeah.
So this is a really old comet. It's been visiting our solar system for a very long time.
I'm guessing it's going to come out of the Orion constellation.
Yes. In the wee hours after midnight and before dawn, the radiant, which is the point where the meteors originate, rises before midnight and is highest in the sky around 2 a.m. It's in the constellation of Orion, just off to the left of the hunter's arm.
Nice.
You can always make out Orion because of the belt of Orion, which are those 3 stars.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that's something fun to see.
Well, thanks.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to next episode when we can get into the real nitty-gritty of the eclipse. But there's work to do in the meantime.
I'm sure everyone
Courage.
just kind of can feel this moving through,
Yeah.
This last part of October. And take time for yourself. Like if things come up and you're like, ooh, that was a weird conversation, take time to process. Or if these feelings come up like, oh, I really don't, I don't really like what that, I don't really like how that went down.
Yes.
Take time to process that because it's showing you something that's really important to see right now. And that will help you to make decisions in the future so that maybe you don't stay friends with someone that you've had a long friendship with, or maybe you're pointing in a different direction. It's going to help you determine.
Right. Yep.
And what this week is for is kind of like really highlighting those areas that are kind of like causing a little bit of unsettlement.
Yeah.
Because as we move into this eclipse season, that will be very clear. And there will be next steps that you can take to kind of remedy the things that you're feeling now.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
For the tips and tidbits. If you have questions, listeners, you can email us at connect@sisterstargazers.com. You can give us a call on Monday nights at 7 p.m. at wmpg.org, 7 p.m. Eastern. It's our live call-in astrology show.
We'd love to hear from you.
Stay brave out there and good work. You're all doing great work.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thanks, Jude.
Yeah. Thank you, Sarah. Love you.
Love you too.
Bye for now, everyone.
Thanks for listening to Sister Stargazers. Let us know what worked for you this week. Find us on Facebook and post a comment at Sister Stargazers.